exciting. New year, 2 new commissioners, and we welcome them this morning. We actually welcome all 3 commissioners. We've got Mr. Scott Schell, we've got Mr. Eric Henry, and Mr. Christopher Seeley joining us. Morning, guys. Good to see you this morning.
Morning.
Well, congratulations, Scott and Chris.
Thank you.
Eric, congratulations to you as well. You ran.
Yeah.
So you
walked briskly, not ran.
You put work into it as well.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you, and here we are. Before we get into it, Scott, tell us about yourself.
Well, for the past 2 decades, I've been a part of the Crawford County Coroner's Office, working for Coroner McHenry, and then 12 years ago became the coroner. My wife and I live in Cochranton, Pennsylvania. We have some kids and some grandkids and some dogs, and we've been in Crawford County forever.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Eric, go ahead and tell us, just because we don't want to leave you out.
Oh, I appreciate that. So, I still live in Westmead with my wife on the Franklin Pike. She has more horses than dogs. A lot of dogs still too, but I still own the ambulance service in town. Just recertified my paramedic for the 33rd year, so kind of still interactive as the public safety side of it. But looking forward to working with these 2 gentlemen in the next 4 years. So.
Yeah, Chris.
All right. I'm Chris. I'm a lifelong resident of Linesville, Pennsylvania. So probably, I'm sorry to say, probably the point furthest away from Titusville in Crawford County. But I take every opportunity I can to come out and visit.
You started actually, what, at 4 this
mayor.
morning? Well, no, but you left.
Oh, yes, yeah. About 4 o'clock, I had to make camp somewhere around Townville. We got here just under the buzzer. But in Linesville, I started as mayor some time ago, and for the last 10 years, I've been one of Crawford County's elected auditors. And this was the year to make the move with the retirements coming. I still reside in Linesville. I just last year bought the house I was born and raised in with my fiancée Catherine, and we hope to make a life there for ourselves. And it's really a privilege to work with these 2 guys coming in. We're not coming in cold. As you said, Eric's been with us for a term already, and Scott and I are no strangers to local government. So,
or the courthouse.
Or the courthouse, for that matter, specifically. So we knew what we were getting into, for better or for worse, and we're looking forward to the next term.
Great. Eric, you guys were on a month ago trying to wrap things up for the year and the budget. Kind of tell us what played out in December.
So the budget, started way out of bounds. I think we talked about that, and some diligent work from our finance department, our CFO, and the department heads and other elected officials. We made some necessary cuts. We didn't fill positions. We kind of pushed back some capital projects, and I'm happy to say for the term of the last commissioner board, no tax increase for this coming year, which was a really difficult, tough work for the CFO to finish, but we got it done. We have more challenges. These guys are aware of those challenges. That our goal is to maintain the same status quo if we can, but of course, eventually, expenses always catch up to you. So you have to find unique ways to try to balance the next budget if we can. So,
and obviously, the last couple of years, it would have been very easy to say, okay, we're going to raise taxes just because everything's going up. But that was not the goal. The goal was to kind of maintain and help folks in the county, and not have to worry about if there's going to be a tax increase or not.
Chris Francis and I were committed from September on, when we start talking about the budget, that we just weren't going to saddle someone with an additional tax increase, knowing that their costs have gone up. Of course, ours have too, but the price of goods and services have definitely risen.
At what point, and I'll direct this to Scott and Chris, at what point did you say, hey, I think I want to run for commissioner? I think this is something I can help and be a part of.
I think after spending all the years I have in county government, working with budgets, always maintain my budget. In fact, Commissioner Henry will agree that I cut my budget every year that I was in office.
Which is hard. I mean, that's a hard thing to do.
A very, very difficult thing to do. But I thought, if I can do this for one department, I might be able to do this for more than one department. Several meetings with Commissioner Henry and Commissioner Wiederspan and Soft, and thought this was the time for me to step up.
When you made that decision, how important was it? And I'm sure you both were paying attention, Scott and Chris, what was going on with county government. Obviously, you're in the building and you're around things, but was there an emphasis on, okay, I need to make sure I attend more meetings, or I'm asking more questions, or part of that process?
Oh, absolutely. It's just you're constantly observing what's happening, just to keep yourself up to date. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'd have to echo that. Even after, I've had 10 years in. Scott's had, 24?
Yeah.
in this arena, and every day, we're this is our third day on the job, so to speak, and yes, we were prepared in ways that a lot of folks wouldn't have been. We had some advantages coming in because we were so familiar with the processes, but it's still a huge learning curve, and just discovering all of the things we maybe thought we knew but didn't, or the depth of the details that were not always available, even to the department heads, even to the other elected officials in Crawford County, that the commissioners have privy to, was really surprising. Right. And so looking back, I think that my decision was made when Commissioner Soff indicated he wasn't going to run again, when he was kind of wrapping it up. And knowing that I had some of these advantages, I've been a creature of the county finance department in that regard for my career at the county, and being able to observe, well, what's been working, what hasn't, and where can we take this, and then what difference can we make as a team, and knowing that this was likely going to be the board coming in as the chips began to fall where they were through the primary and earlier.
And it was relatively quiet too. I mean, in terms of, there's been past election cycles where you've had rockets. 12, 13, 14, 15 people running, but it was relatively calm.
Yeah. Unprecedentedly calm, at least in my tribe.
It was. It really was.
It really was. Yeah. And I don't take that lightly. I certainly don't. But it gave us a very unique opportunity that we knew in May who the new board was going to be. So rather than waiting around until sometime in mid-November after we were certain who was going to be elected and quickly trying to cram and learn one another, frankly, we had the advantage of being able to say, okay, beginning in about June, guys, we know it's going to be us, barring some unforeseen circumstances. Yeah. So
I was thinking about that writing, but I didn't want to.
Let's start now. It ain't over till it's over. We've been in this long enough, but we had the opportunity to say, let's start now. Let's start talking about the transition. How do we view ourselves as a board coming in, and we can hit the ground running on January 2nd without spending 2 weeks looking for the bathrooms. You know what I mean? So
and the two outgoing commissioners were a great asset.
Exceptional.
with us, especially, and Eric was excellent at telling us, you need to watch this, you need to watch this, you need to watch this. Right. And he was excellent at doing that. But we had that 6 months time span, which was very helpful.
It's paid off already.
Eric, for you, obviously, this is fresh in your mind coming in. So some of those things when you first started, did you kind of bring that up and say, okay, we want to hit the ground running, or we can ease into it with some things, or was it like, all right, guys, here's the list of things we need to do?
Well, I think primarily in all facets of government, and I'll be the first to tell you, like, I still learn stuff every day. I learned things yesterday. I'm starting to oversee the Human Services Department, so I started to learn things I haven't even scratched the surface on, and so I just feel like it's a continuous learning experience. I mean, tomorrow we just don't know who's going to walk in the office and have another concern. It could be as small as a dent in a vehicle and what happened, and is it worth it to pay for repair, or as high as a job position or posting, and so I think that the big key to everything is until you've actually sat in these seats, it's really hard to determine everything about being a commissioner is all about. So.
Right, and that's where I was saying before coming on, I might ask you some dumb questions. I always felt like a stupid question is, what are your, not necessarily what are your intentions, but sometimes during a campaign you get the people say, when I get into office, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Yep. Then they get in and realize, oh, we can't do this, this, and this. Yep. So you guys aren't unfamiliar with this. Did you know I'm not going to overpromise? I'm just going to, this is who I am. This is why I think I'm going to be good at it, and kind of get into the position and get your thoughts and ideas into the process?
In my observations, and Commissioner, I think, highlights this in a lot of ways, and a lot more than, say, a legislative office, is that I tried not to make promises. I was always very clear about who I was, what my beliefs were, but you're electing my judgment, you're electing my temperament and my history more than you're electing my commitments to what I can or can't do, because county government is big and complex, and in a lot of ways, we can't necessarily address we can't fill potholes. We can't help with matters that might be a state government issue. And we find ourselves as being the conduit, as being able to direct you toward the agency or individual who can address that concern. But many times it's not necessarily our desks that it stops on. So being able to make that clear, but while still being able to help somebody is really important. But yeah, I always went out of my way not to make promises because
I
you
don't
just
think,
could never know.
I don't think that Eric and I didn't make any campaign promises. I know that of all the meet and greets that we handled, but we certainly gave them what we thought some top priorities were that we wanted to work towards. You know, I had told everybody that, you know, my top concern at the moment was emergency services, and Eric shares that with me. Only we're on two different sides of the fence. He's an EMS specialist. I'm a firefighter, but as you know, there's a major league shortage of volunteers.
Yes.
In our county, but everywhere.
Yeah.
And we need to ramp this up. Try to retain firefighters, recruit firefighters, and maybe someday in the future down the road, we might have to come up with some money to pay some people.
Well, I'll tell you that's an interesting conversation because it's happening across the board, whether it's volunteer fire departments or local organizations that are looking for help. There's just that shortage of people stepping up and doing that.
Well,
And
volunteerism. I mean, the Lions Club can't find people.
Right.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so.
yeah, and some of those organizations are going away. You know, they've been around for decades,
Right.
100 years or more, and you know they're folding up because they just don't have the people. But anyways, that can be a different conversation, but that's fantastic to get into. We'll do this real quick. You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel. We got the Crawford County Commissioners with us. We've got Scott Schell, Eric Henry, and Christopher Seeley with us here this morning. Well, what are you looking forward to in 2024? You mentioned the emergency service issues, but anything else on the list of things that you say, boy, I'm kind of excited to get involved with this, or, you know, providing ideas, you know, for X, Y, and Z? I mean,
I think first and foremost, and all three of us, I think, share the same ideal that we need to repopulate our courthouse, our second floor of our courthouse, so we can help alleviate the cost of rent. I mean, we've put new windows in, we put new HVAC in. The building is, a beautiful building. It's in great shape. We've got a handicap accessible ramp. So it's time for us to find ways to save more money. I mean, I always tell everybody, you learn one thing about the budget, you should be the budget should be a concern on our second day. Sure. And it is, because when people have decisions and say, what are we going to do? Well, how much is that going to cost? What's the legacy cost of that? Now it's time to look at rents and say, okay, where can we save on rents? Where can we bring people back in? And Commissioner Seeley here is the liaison for the court. He's going to have a very integral part in determining if we can get a court office back into the second floor. And I'm looking forward to those discussions, because to me, if after 4 years we sit here and no one's in the second floor, we failed. Yeah. We have to save money. We have to continue to eat away at those costs that we can control and we can adjust. And I think that's going to be, for me, that's a very big priority for me.
So really, I mean, we've talked about this before. Budget conversations really don't end, do they?
No. Not at all. No, that's ongoing every day.
So, Eric, when you mentioned that, is it looking at, okay, the leases are coming up with these organizations or with these departments? How do we, get them in before a lease is up, before we have to renew?
Yeah, the CFO has a timeline of all of our leases and when they expire and are renewable, and so we have a short window, and in some cases, even maybe it's a 2-year window. That it means we have to go now, because the office might need programmed, it might need some work. We have a great maintenance staff. Our maintenance staff can do plumbing, electrical, carpentry. We don't service any of that stuff out. These guys do great work. They build their own countertops. I mean, we've moved a lot of offices already. If you get a chance to come to the courthouse, we have taken the entire first floor, new flooring, new carpet, new countertops, and we've moved people around already. It's just now time to go up one floor and get working on it. So I'm excited about it.
Scott, Chris,
sure. Well, right now in our planning department, it's an exciting time to be in Crawford County planning. There are a lot of initiatives underway that Crawford County residents are going to be able to avail themselves of. Things like there's a workforce development program for the building trades. There's the whole home repair program that'll be coming out very soon. So that's going to be something that we're all going to want to watch for, because those are real meat and potatoes, bread and butter programs. They're going to be able to help your average Crawford County. And on top of that, the new county comprehensive plan is right on the cusp of being introduced. Now, this was sourced across all of Crawford County for your viewers that may have been out at Townville Old Home Days and all of these different festivals and county fairs and whatnot, where you saw the County Planning Commission set up surveying you. What do you want to see in your community? What do you want Crawford County to look like in 10 years? Well, all that information was compiled, and now we're ready to act on it. So within a few months, we'll be able to have this document that says, okay, where do we go from here?
Oh, that's interesting.
What do we want to see in, what does Titusville need? What did the people of Titusville tell us they want to see? So we're not guessing. We're not pulling strings anymore. We have the data to back that up. And now we have a roadmap to where we can do real substantive improvements all around Crawford County, and it was sourced from the people who live here.
Just real quick before we get to Scott.
Sure.
Are there some common denominators, or is, like you mentioned, Titusville, is it completely different from what you would see in Linesville or Conneaut Lake?
Funny, a little bit. There are some specifics, but it's making Crawford County livable. It's making it, giving us an economic development, giving us an economic base that we can be proud of, giving us the facilities and amenities that attract young families. You know, why would you come to Crawford County if you weren't born here? Was sort of a big overarching question. What can we do to bring people here? And it really came down to, I just want to live there. And that was, believe it or not, that was a moment that made me really proud as a Crawford County, and let alone as a commissioner, to read some of these responses about, why do you live where you live? Why do you live in Hydetown? Why do you live in Cochranton? I just like living there.
Yeah.
And I think there's something you can't buy that. And having that sort of goodwill and then rolling it into, I know you like it here, but how can we make it even better? That's one of our core functions.
I know that's
what can we do to make this place better?
Yeah, I know, Scott. That's the billboard going into Cochranton. I like living here. I mean, it works. You think about it.
Yeah, you know, all the little
There is
towns,
no billboard.
all the little towns have their own unique little things.
Charm.
Charm, yeah. Character.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
basically, the smaller areas, you know, there's no big crime rate. There's not a whole lot of danger there, and people enjoy that atmosphere.
And you're somebody who's traveled the county pretty extensively.
Yeah, I have covered every square inch of this county for years and years, and you know, and let's face facts. You know, there are more problems in the two cities than there are elsewhere, but population and that accounts for all that.
So over the course of this term, we'll be looking at implementing some of those plans, and again, that's something everybody should kind of keep their eyes open and see what we can make of it.
Eric, how do you divvy up like the perks, like the special parking that Francis and Christopher got at the fair?
So the first thing was we took Chris's shoes and we've divvied them up.
That frees up a lot of room.
That took about a half a day. Half a day. We had shoes, and I know Commissioner Soft might even be listening today.
I hope
because I always talk about his shoes. You know that. Commissioner Seeley does own some wingtips that are kind of impressive, but at the end of the day, none of us are equal to the. We cannot pay homage to the size of Christopher Soft's shoe collection. But what we did do is we did divvy up jobs and tasks and duties, and we all have certain areas that we're going to oversee, which is good for us because we can divide and conquer. We'll always come back to each other, and once a week we'll be meeting about what we talked about. So we kind of take our jobs and our tasks and go about our business and come back and talk about it. So we have divvied up some good things, and as far as parking goes, it came down to the size of the vehicle. If your vehicle can fit here, we'll put you here. That's kind of what we did. So
okay.
And Eric drives a camper to work.
Yes,
every day,
yes,
and
yes.
I have a little Kia Forte. I can park in his tailgate.
Well, I've seen those classic ambulances that he drives around in.
Yeah, the Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, they're big, but they're quite. See, there's character that's
there
built
is.
into it.
Oh, yeah.
But when you talk about fairs, and I know there's a fair board, and this other stuff, it has to be exciting to kind of come into the new year saying, hey, we get to be part of this. We're going to have a part in these conversations.
It's amazing. Most people don't ever get to see our department heads, our fair board. They don't get to see those people. It's not the three commissioners that's calling all the shots here. We have to approve stuff. I understand that. But Chris talked about planning, and Eric talked about using every square inch of space we can in the courthouse. And we have wonderful people that are looking at those projects right now. The Department of Public Safety, they're very intelligent people in all these departments looking at everything, and that's every office that we have. And they are very, very intelligent, very forward-thinking people, and they bring their thoughts and ideas to us. And of course, we have to review all that. But the rest of the county, the population of the county doesn't realize how much talent we actually have.
I think that was one of the, as the new kid, that was one of the most impressive, humbling parts of these first couple of days, the first 72 hours, was the manner in which the staff conduct themselves and the manner in which they've not only jumped in to help, but have embraced the new guys and said, what can we do to help you? How can we make your job here easier? And you just let me know. And that's an incredible feeling.
Yeah.
It's an incredible feeling.
Eric, when you have two people that are more familiar with the setting than maybe others, are there things you can bypass? Are there certain tours or anything of the building, or are there things on the list you go, okay, hey guys, we're going to have to go and just maybe take a day and drive around and visit something?
I think what's most important about having two individuals with county experiences, they actually know a lot of their limitations already. I mean, you talk about campaign promises and how someone runs a campaign. A lot of people will say, well, I'd like to make sure there's no more snow in Crawford County. Let's promise that. And it goes back to the old adage of, what can you really do and can't do. And I think both these individuals know our limitations. There are things that we actually can reach out above and beyond and work on, like public safety that we're excited about, having a fire and EMS commission. But at the end of the day, I think people know, these two know our limitations. Why are you smiling? Because Commissioner
Soft says, we don't have to call him Commissioner anymore, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Soft
I think it's
says,
an honorific. We can actually call him Mayor Soft.
There you go.
He would like that.
Yeah.
Damn right I'm watching. Guys, thank you for coming in this morning, and congratulations, and Happy New Year to you all. And we look forward, hopefully, I don't know if Eric mentioned maybe getting on a rotation.
Yeah, we already got a rotation
We've already
figured
got
out.
it worked out. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
All right, all the best.